Coming up next on KPBS Evening Edition, just how small is a small radioactive leak? More on the San Onofre nuclear power plant shutdown.
And San Diego is running out of parking spaces. We'll tell you what the city is doing to solve the problem.
And the new owners of the UT San Diego make a major announcement today about what's next for the paper. Give you a hint.
Lights, camera, action. KPBS Evening Edition starts now.
Hello, thanks for joining us. I'm Joanne Ferrian.
And I'm Peggy Pico, in for Dwayne Brown.
The UT San Diego announced it will expand its news service to include a television operation. UT CEO John Lynch called the initiative UT TV at a Rotary Club meeting today. Lynch told the audience the service would launch online and eventually expand to an all-news cable channel. KPBS confirmed the plan with the new owner of the paper, Doug Manchester. Manchester said the expanded news service will begin in April.
The Paula Indian tribe in North County has expelled 154 of its members. From our Fronteras desk, Adrian Florido joins us in the KPBS News Center with what this means to those who are ousted. Now, Adrian, these members represent somewhat of a significant percentage of the tribe's population. What's the impact of this decision?
Yeah, you're right, Peggy. It represents about 15% of the tribe's population. And among other things, it means that those people will no longer be receiving payments of about $150,000 a year. That's money that was coming from profits from the casino that the tribe operates on reservation land east of Oceanside.
And the obvious question here is, why were they kicked out?
Well, you know, they're not really saying. A spokesman for the tribe told me today that they were just exercising their right as a tribe to determine who its members are. Back in June, they did expel another 8 people, saying that those people did not have the sufficient sort of bloodline to be members of the tribe. To be a member of the Paula tribe, you have to have 1/16 Paula Indian blood, and they have a formula to calculate that.
All right, and then so how common then is expelling tribe members in general?
Well, you know, it's getting more common, and especially in California over the last 10 years, since tribes started operating casinos and generating profits, which then have to be split up among the members. Obviously, they're not saying that that's what's happening here, but it is a trend that's been intensifying across the state and across the country.
Okay, and I understand the tribe's spokesman said the expelled members can appeal the decision. Adrian Florido, thank you.
A Solana Beach woman was arrested today for allegedly embezzling more than $1.6 million from the property management company she worked for. The San Diego County Sheriff's Department says 64-year-old Jennifer Davey worked as a bookkeeper for Beckman Properties for nearly 7 years.
Mayor Jerry Sanders says he will wait until the courts decide whether a new hotel tax is legal before moving forward on a plan to finance a $520 million convention center expansion. KPBS Metro reporter Katie Orr joins me from the News Center with more details. And Katie, you spoke to Todd Gloria today. What did he say?
Well, he agreed with the mayor, Peggy. He says it was always the plan to have a court validate this funding mechanism, and that's because it's a fairly new way to go about funding things. And the question is, since this involves raising the hotel tax, do San Diego City voters need to vote to approve it versus just having hotel and motel owners vote to implement this tax?
Yeah, and if the funding mechanism is deemed illegal, how will this expansion get funded?
Well, that's up in the air. Like you said, it's $520 million, so it's likely that they would have to go to city voters and ask them to approve that tax. But as we know, San Diego city voters are always hesitant to approve new taxes, so it's certainly something supporters are hoping they won't have to do.
All right, thank you very much, Katie Orr, our Metro reporter.
California lawmakers are taking steps to avoid a cash flow problem this spring by letting the state borrow from existing government funds. Today's action is meant to ensure that the state has enough money until the majority of tax revenues start arriving in April. Controller John Chung says he doesn't anticipate having to issue IOUs or delay tax refunds.
San Diego's chapter of the American Red Cross is now just one of a handful in the country with a high-tech disaster command center. I got a tour of the facility today just before it officially opened. Here's a look inside. Images of San Diego's worst fire disasters play continuously in the new high-tech disaster operations center at the American Red Cross in Kearney Mesa. Volunteers and staff share critical disaster information with other Red Cross disaster centers throughout the state and county in real time, and that helps victims and responders alike.
By putting in the technology within this room, we are able now to go ahead and cut down our response time from 8 hours to 1 hour.
Giant monitors display the nearest shelters, supply centers, and evacuation routes. Fires and daily crisis situations pop up as they happen.
We keep track of all the threats that are happening locally, be it a prescribed burn, spot fire, things of that nature, whatever is happening, so we know what's in general happening around us in case something does happen.
Here, the dots represent regional mini earthquakes that happened today, while this three-dimensional smart table map works like a visual conference call, linking this disaster center with other emergency responders.
We can see what's going on. We can get different views of it.
Now, the American Red Cross calls its chapter disaster center CDOC. It was funded by grants and non-restricted donations. Tonight, we take a closer look at Tuesday's radioactive leak at the San Onofre nuclear plant at the Roundtable.
Officials at the San Onofre plant are trying to figure out what went wrong Tuesday when a steam generator began leaking gallons of radioactive water. Joining me now is Dr. Murray Jennings, Associate Professor in San Diego State's Homeland Security Program with expertise in nuclear containment testing. He also worked for San Onofre for several years. Thank you so much for being here, Dr. Jennings.
Oh, good afternoon. And I'm also with the College of Business.
Okay.
So I need to give them a plug,
Several
too.
credentials. Let's start with a brief explanation on what it means when there's a leak at a nuclear power plant like this.
Well, in this case, when they say there's a leak, to protect the public, we have several barriers against the release of radiation and products that might have radiation in them. Well, the reactor vessel is one, and then we have coolant around that to carry the heat away. Well, we don't use that coolant to directly make steam. We pass it through a steam generator, which we then use clean water on the other side to make steam to power the turbine. Well, that's where this leak is between the primary coolant water coming off the reactor vessel and then the water that's being turned into steam going to the turbine.
Okay, I want to read a little bit from the NRC report in terms of the incident, and it says that at 15:05, so 3:05, Unit 3 entered abnormal operation instruction, reactor coolant leak for steam generator, leak exceeding 5 gallons per day. With less than an hour, they realize it's actually 82 gallons per day, and then a little bit later, it goes into a stage of, I believe it's a leakage exceeding 30 gallons per hour was established. Is that a lot?
It sounds like a lot, but it actually isn't. San Onofre uses over 16,000 gallons of water a day just to run the plant. So we're talking a very small amount of water. And the volumes of water that we're looking at are quite huge. So it's not something that's actually easily detected. In fact, the only way it was detected was primarily by the radiation monitor that's sensed the radiation on the steam side. Otherwise, they probably wouldn't have noticed for quite a while.
Now, the consequence of a leak like this, aren't we worried about what escapes into our atmosphere?
Yeah, we are. And in this case, again, the leak is inside the containment building. So there's your first barrier. And then they noticed that some of the gas that came out was inside the auxiliary building, which is another barrier. Well, also, the thing to keep in mind is that this is primary coolant. It's not spent fuel. It's not actually fuel particles. It's gas. This gas doesn't stay radioactive for very long. It has a very short decay lifetime, so but within an hour it's gone. So that's why they can't really tell us how much did, because it's very difficult to measure something that disappears that fast.
Now, this is also a new steam generator. This was installed quite recently. Does it surprise you that something so new is leaking?
Yeah, absolutely. As an engineer, I would have liked to see it gone a few years before a tube leak occurred. Now, tube leaks occur on a regular basis. They're not, we can't predict exactly when they occur, but we've had several of them occur over the last several years. So that's why it's an abnormal event and not an accident. It's an incident. We know that they do happen. We know how to take care of it. The fact that it happened so early makes people wonder if perhaps there's a manufacturing problem or not. I think that's why they're being very careful about what they say is the cause. They want to really analyze it and see if it's just because there's a weird flow condition, if there's that could cause excessive vibration on certain areas of the tubes. And they suspect that's probably what the case is here.
Now, what's your biggest concern when you look at an incident like this? As somebody who's worked there, you're an expert, what would be the biggest question that you would have?
Well, my biggest question is, again, why did it occur within a year of this getting the new steam generator online? And to me, that just says that perhaps we need to make sure that we're taking care of the steam generator in the right way. We got the right chemistry. We're not exceeding temperature limits or flow limits. Just making sure that everything is being done according to procedure, and making sure that we know how it's behaving inside. So they're going to do a lot of inspections. They're going to be doing some eddy current inspections, which actually measures the thickness of the walls and sees if there's problems, and we'll see if there is an area of concern.
Now, we also know they aren't generating power from the steam generator because of this, and we also know Unit 2, it says, is also in shutdown. It's in a refueling outage. So are they generating any power, and if they're not, are they losing money?
Well, they're not generating power at San Onofre. And yes, San Onofre is losing money, or Southern Cal Edison is losing some money, unless they're able to make up the power from their own sources. Otherwise, they have to buy it off the market. And we get a lot of power from the Northwest, from hydro plants up there, and from other generators of power, also from, say, Arizona and so forth. So right now, this time of year, power is relatively cheap compared to in the summer when it's hot.
Quickly before we go, if you had to put a dollar amount on what they're losing, what would you guess?
$600,000 to $1 million a day in replacement power cost.
Dr. Jennings, thank you so much for being here.
Well, you're welcome.
It's a frustration for most San Diego drivers that is finding a place to park. Building more homes means more people and more cars. Now the San Diego City Council will soon take on the challenge of finding a place for our cars. And how do you talk to children about serious illness? We'll have some insights for hard conversations.
Tonight on KPBS at 8 on Ken Kramer's About San Diego. Some of the original cast of the Our Gang comedies lived their final years in San Diego. We look back at their lives. Then at 8:30, visit a baby tiger at the Tijuana Zoo and listen as the Tijuana Opera Company rehearses for their next show on Crossing South. And at 9, a shocking case of abuse at a former children's home is revealed during an investigation of murder on Inspector George Gently. That's tonight on KPBS.
Next time from Eugene, Oregon, it's Antiques Roadshow.
He helped settle part of southern Oregon, and he was a sheep farmer, and he traded a sheep for the powder horn.
I had no idea. I hate a cliche, but I that's amazing.
You're kidding. Mom, are you listening?
Don't miss our visit to Eugene next time on Antiques Roadshow.
Monday at 8 on KPBS. KPBS Evening Edition is made possible by Joan and Erwin Jacobs and by
The San Diego City Council will soon consider a proposal to reduce the number of parking spaces required for each new unit of affordable housing. It's a move to cut cost and prevent parking lots from overtaking the city. KPBS Morning Edition host Tom Fudge reports on the challenge of finding a place to put all of our cars Californians love to drive.
It's something most of us do every single day. We jump in a car, drive someplace, and then we need to find a parking space.
You got to get here an hour early to at least hope someone's backing out.
We went around the entire campus trying to find a spot. It took about a half an hour.
I park illegally until I can find a parking space, someone leaves.
It's hard to find a civic concern more universal than the need to park a car. To understand our true demand for parking spaces, transportation specialist Alan Hoffman says take your car and start to multiply it.
Every car generates a demand for anywhere between 4 and 6 parking spaces.
That's what you get when you add up all the parking spaces that are waiting for you at home, at work, at the shopping mall, the grocery store, and so on. In 2010, there were about 3.1 million people living in San Diego County who owned an estimated 2.1 million cars. Now imagine 1 million more people living in San Diego County by 2030, as demographers predict. That's 685,000 more cars based on car ownership rates. Hoffman says that will require 37 square miles of additional parking spaces.
I'll give you your choice of how you want your 37 square miles. We can either pave over all of San Diego Bay, all of Mission Bay, all of the city of La Mesa, and then build a 2-story parking deck over all of Balboa Park.
Or we could, let's not go there. In fact, we don't have to go anywhere to imagine what parking demands do to a city.
There's no better example of how parking affects the landscape than the parking lot of Qualcomm Stadium. There are 19,000 parking spaces here, and the vast majority of the time they're not even used.
So how do we stop the paving of San Diego? Elise Lowe is the director of Move San Diego. She says there are problems with parking policy, and she starts with the example of this downtown parking garage, which enjoys a public subsidy.
And what's important to know about it is that it actually costs less to park here for a month than it costs to buy a monthly transit pass.
Her point? The parking subsidy discourages transit use in a place where a trolley station is just 1 block away. Transit is not practical for all destinations, but Lowe says people should at least pay the real cost of parking.
This isn't about forcing people into transit. This is about actually creating choices for people and making transit an attractive choice by reflecting the true cost of parking and driving is really where we need to go.
Another approach is to do something with all that spare pavement we already have in San Diego. San Diego has a lot of very wide residential streets, up to 52 feet from curb to curb. Hoffman says that's wide enough to redesign parking like they did on Kansas Street in North Park to create head-in parking and increase the number of parking spaces by 35%.
So by just going onto head-in parking on these extremely wide streets that are very typical in a lot of San Diego, we're able to pick up dozens or even hundreds of parking spaces, all for the price of some paint.
Most large parking lots are empty at least 50% of the time. Making better use of that space can, for one thing, make our cities more attractive and vital. Here in North Park, this empty parking lot is converted to a farmer's market once a week. Gary Smith is a member of the Downtown Parking Management Group. He says we should use those periodically empty lots to park more cars that belong to people who keep different schedules. Here he speaks of downtown residential buildings.
For instance, I could build another 3 or 4 high-rise buildings around this commercial building and satisfy the parking requirements for those buildings in the catacomb that's underneath that commercial building, because they only use those for the daylight hours.
About 50 years ago, a writer and intellectual named Louis Mumford wrote, "The right to have access to every building in the city by private motor car in an age when everyone possesses such a vehicle is the right to destroy the city."
Mumford might think San Diego has gone down that path, where people move from one place to another, sealed in their cars, navigating an ocean of asphalt. But optimists like Smith say we don't have to keep paving the city. We can make better use of what we've got.
In 2006, in conjunction with Sandag, we did a study, and we found at that time, which was only a few years ago, there were 10 parking spaces in the city of San Diego for every car that was registered in the city of San Diego. Okay? It's not a shortage of parking. It's a matter of having the parking where people want to go and having the parking work correctly.
That was Tom Fudge reporting. The move to reduce the number of parking spaces required for new affordable housing units in San Diego will go before the City Planning Commission in April. Then it'll head to the City Council. It's a hard topic for families to tackle, but Joanne's next guest at the roundtable says it's something families should be talking about.
Parents always want to protect their kids, not just from real danger, but also from sadness and insecurity. So the reaction of many people, if they get seriously ill, is to keep their illness from their kids as much as possible. But that's often not the best idea. A book that has helped thousands of families maneuver through the illness and even the death of a parent has now been revised and updated. It's the result of an interesting collaboration between a child life specialist and a reporter. Joining me now is that reporter, Ron Bond, a veteran TV journalist who now teaches journalism at the University of San Diego. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So tell me, as a reporter, how you got involved in an issue like this.
I was working for NBC News Sunday Today as science specialist, and I got a flyer from the Cleveland Clinic saying they had this program to help children of gravely ill or fatally ill parents. And it suddenly struck me, I had seen a dozen good programs for the parents of sick children. I'd never seen anything for helping the children of sick parents. So I went out and I met Kathleen McHugh, who devised the program. And I was stunned by what she was accomplishing with these children. I would sit down with a 10-year-old girl, 12-year-old boy, whose mother had died, whose father had died, and these kids were okay. They could sit and talk about it. They could talk about their lives, talk about their friends. They were okay. And it was because of Kathleen's techniques that they could handle it. And what she learned is that with a little help from grown-ups who know what they're doing, the kids can handle it.
Let's talk a little bit about the techniques. This is what you outline in the book, How to Help Children Through a Parent's Serious Illness. What's the first thing that most of us would do wrong?
Protect the children from the truth. If you dissemble, at this point, when there's a crisis in your family, something very bad is happening, and if you try to pretend to your children that it's not happening, you can set up a distrust that will last a lifetime. You must never tell the child anything but the truth. Now, you don't always tell the entire truth right now, and we go into that in this book. For instance, in genetic diseases, when a disease might not occur for 15 years, you don't want to tell the child everything, but you never tell the child nothing's wrong. You never tell the child mom's on a vacation. You never tell the child dad is on a secret mission. If the mom is in the hospital, if the dad is dying, the child must prepare and must trust you, the adult who's telling them the story.
You know, Ron, when we were talking just a few moments ago about a movie nominated for an Oscar, The Descendants, and you were saying that really the events in this movie parallel a lot of the advice you give in this book.
I was amazed as I sat and watched that movie. The movie starts with a terrible boating accident, and a young mother of two young girls, 12 and 17, is in a coma. And the father, played by George Clooney, is the way you and I might be. This thing, this disaster has happened. He has no idea how to cope with it. But as he goes through the movie, he does almost everything right with his girls. And I just sat there thinking, yes, yes, because he keeps them in the loop. They know what he knows. When the doctors are still holding out hope for the mother, he says, Mom may come out of it. But when the doctors say, no, this is terminal, he says, Mom will not come out of this coma. When the younger girl gets beyond the way anything he can handle, he brings in professional help. He gets a therapist in. But the most powerful thing in the movie, and it's choking me up, when they finally take the mother off of life support, he lets both girls say goodbye. And that, a child who's prevented from saying goodbye, that can scar her emotionally for life. So I am sitting there, I'm ready to give Clooney the Oscar just for the way he's handling these two girls.
Ron, where can people find your book?
Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, the bigger bookstores are getting it, and I'm going to be talking about it at Warwick's next month, and I'll be signing it.
Okay, it's called How to Help Children Through a Parent's Serious Illness. Ron Bond, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you for helping me tell people about the book. Because there's one thing. This book can help families in this situation. but they've got to know it exists.
Okay.
So thank you.
Thank you.
Coming up next in the public square, Joanne wants to know what you think about the big announcement today from UT San Diego. This is KPBS Evening Edition.
I'm Gwen Eiffel on the next News Hour from our American Graduate Series, the sobering reality of life for high school dropouts held in juvenile justice institutions. That's Thursday on the PBS News Hour.
The American people have named PBS
the most trusted source of news and public affairs
for the 8th year in a row.
Trust.
The American people have spoken. Thank you.
The idea of the Freedom Rides is challenging segregation so frontally and so aggressively.
We were past fear. If one person falls, others take their place.
I asked God to be with me, to give me the strength I would need to remain nonviolent.
We knew that we had taken a stand and that it was going to be better.
Freedom Riders, an American experience film. Tuesday evening beginning at 8 on KPBS.
Welcome back to the Public Square on KPBS Evening Edition. As we told you earlier, the UT San Diego is branching into broadcast news. We want to know, do you want to see more local news coverage? And where do you get your news these days? Online, or do you still favor traditional sources? Well, you can join this conversation in some untraditional ways. You can follow us on Twitter. Of course, you can like us on Facebook. And you can always cut through the middleman. Just send me an email, jfarian@kpbs.org. And now let's go back to the news desk where Peggy has a recap of tonight's top stories.
Mayor Jerry Sanders says he'll wait for the courts to decide whether a new hotel tax is legal before moving forward on a plan to finance a $520 million convention center expansion. And the Paula Band of Indians in northern San Diego County has expelled 154 people from its tribe. The ousted members stand to lose $150,000 in annual payments from the tribe's casinos. And state lawmakers are taking steps to avoid a cash flow problem this spring by letting the state borrow from existing government funds. Today's action is meant to ensure that the state has enough money until tax revenues start arriving in April. You can watch and comment on any of the stories you saw tonight. Just go to our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thank you for joining us. Have a great evening, and we leave you with a look at the forecast.